Having trouble remembering the last time you felt good about your marriage. Maybe you argue a lot and nothing ever seems to get resolved. Or every time you talk to your partner about the problems in your relationship and how you feel, maybe they tell you that they're not the problem. When this happens, we become more and more disconnected and we often end up living as roommates. Sometimes we start to think that maybe we are the problem and we try to do whatever we can to make things better and fix what's not working. And it may get better for a while, but sooner rather than later, we end up feeling pretty much like we did before. We feel abandoned, unimportant, disrespected, and ashamed. And although we don't feel great about our relationship, we tend to tell ourselves that it's fine or that it could be worse. And this is one way that we really betray ourselves and slowly lose ourselves within our marriage by not being honest with ourselves about how we feel. I have a client who I'm going to call Chris, who'd been married for about 20 years when he found out that his wife had been involved in an emotional affair for the last couple of years. And it was really easy for him to see that as a betrayal because it was. But the harder thing for him to see was that he too had been doing some betraying in the relationship himself. He had been lying and betraying himself for a long time. He'd been telling himself that he was happy enough to stay in the marriage and that it wasn't that bad. He'd been telling himself that he probably was the problem. So he kept hanging in there and trying to make it better and make it work. And he'd been telling himself that he could stay longer so the children wouldn't have to really endure divorce and everything that comes with that. But the truth is that he wasn't happy and he lost himself a little bit more each day. It was just easier to lie to himself and lose himself a little more at a time. And so he told me that that was easier than just giving up on his family and his dreams, his security, and just wrecking his life. So when we betray ourselves by not telling ourselves the truth, it's just as bad as a betrayal within the marriage, like the emotional affair. It's just that it tends to happen over the course of years instead of a sudden single event. We need to tell ourselves the truth, even when the truth isn't the answer that we want.